and that is on this year's list, a lady by the name of Rachel Roy, who's actually from Maryland, grew up in the area. She is a designer in New York. She is half Indian.
And she's married to
Damon Dash,
exactly.
who is Rockefeller Records co-founder.
Right. For those of you who know Rockefeller Records, it's with Jay-Z.
Huge deal.
And Rachel Roy is all over, all these social networks and
beautiful
TV.
And gaining that reach. And as a designer is really coming into her own, I think, the last 5 seasons.
Right.
Becoming a big name. And it's really cool, I think, that she is doing something in a very non-traditional Indian, so to speak, career choice.
Sure. And I'm glad she was on the list.
And I'm glad she's getting that.
Just as a caveat, there was a list released by, I think it was either Politico or The Hill, which is a trade paper in Washington, D.C., and it has top 50 most beautiful people. And 2 Indians, both their parents were Indians, made it onto that list.
I heard about this.
So I'm pretty proud of them, and maybe
good-looking people. I mean,
exactly. So maybe
you may not be able to tell looking at the 2 of us, but
maybe we'll make it onto some Vanity Fair lists in the future.
I think some more are definitely on our own.
Speaking of, I wanted to transition to our next topic, which is Indians in sports.
Yes.
And someone that would know about it. V, tell us about what you're doing this summer.
I work for a local all-news radio station, and I work at their sports desk. So I cover all the professional sports in the Washington, D.C. area. And I have to say, in my experience so far, I have not come across a lot of Indian Americans. Indians, period. Either on the field or off.
So you're saying professional sports-wise, from the journalism standpoint as well as the athlete standpoint, we're seeing a huge
There's not
disparity.
that many.
Right. And why do we think that is?
We have to accept this as fact. Indians are vastly underrepresented in the athletic world, so to speak.
I mean, look at the Olympics.
Absolutely. The ratio of medals that we earn to the population of over 1 billion is just ridiculous. However, do I think it's something that we can change and that we should change? Yes.
I mean, India is sort of built upon its mind. That's the way I like to think about sort of India and the Indian American community.
Definitely.
We've talked about this before on Morning Blend. Indian Americans have gotten ahead. We're not as much of a blue-collar society. We're more like high-tech jobs, med, law, different things like that. Same thing goes for India on the world stage. We are, sort of our essence is our academics, and that's our pursuit, and we take pride in it. You were saying earlier that you wish that people got as much credit for getting a gold medal as for getting into IIT.
Yeah, I think that should be as worthy a pursuit. The fact that you are aiming to make it to the National Olympic team or to perform and to actually compete in the Olympics should be as worthy, should be considered, as worthy an aim as getting into IIT. People start training for that in the 4th grade, and they're not even eligible until 10th grade. Well, guess what? Sports should also start young. That should be considered as viable an option.
Right.
To pursue.
I think that also in India it's a money issue. Lots of people just can't pursue that, and it's a time issue. But, I hope that we see India get on the world stage.
And here, too, there was an Indian American on the gymnastics team at last year's Beijing Olympics from the USA team, and I think it's coming. And I think that it's definitely something that I will be glad to see whenever it happens.
For sure. Something we've all been worried about lately is the H1N1 virus.
Swine flu.
I actually know 2 people that had swine flu. And they were fine. They're fine now.
It happens. It's not anything that's any much more contagious or...
Right. Okay. Well, tell that to Bombay, who this past week shut down all of its schools, colleges, shopping malls, stores, movie theaters, everything.
Right.
And the government said they're trying to reduce the amount of panic that occurs.
Which, in their defense, swine flu is just getting to India. There have been less than 20 deaths as of taping. And the biggest impact has been in Pune, which is very close to Mumbai. And I think that is why the Bombay community is essentially making a preemptive strike.
Swine flu has a 99.1% survival rate. It's less than 20 in all of India and less than 10 in Bombay.
Right. But is it worth it to maybe...
1,600, 1,700 plus people infected with it.
I think what we've seen with the swine flu, though, is that it's been slow to grow. Just because it got to one place doesn't mean it's necessarily blown up. It builds over time. And I think that's the point. And I think if Mumbai is taking the steps to protect itself now, I think it's worth it. You have to look at the logistics of the city, too. Nearly 75% of the city population takes public transport. This is a city that is very busy.
But logistics-wise, it was the biggest... Last weekend was one of the biggest celebration weekends, Janmashtami, in Bombay. And they decided that weekend to shut everything down in order to prevent widespread panic. That doesn't really add up for me.
This is definitely an oversized response, but I hope it does the job. Moving on, before we end today, we want to do a couple of quick hits, things that we think you should know and are worth noting. First up, we have a politician from South Carolina named Nikki Haley. Now, Miss Haley was the first elected Indian American representative, state representative,
Republican
and
also,
Republican
right.
as well. And she is now running for the Republican nomination for governor of South Carolina, and she is really up and coming.
Right. She's only 37 years old. She's born and brought up here, went to Clemson.
Obviously got a bright future.
Yeah. Another up-and-coming politician is Raja Krishnamurthy. He was an issues director on Barack Obama's campaign in the primaries and then moved to a senior advisor in the regular general election.
He's now running for a statewide office. He's also only 35.
Illinois State Comptroller. The person who was previously Comptroller is now running for governor, so it's a pretty high-profile position.
Hopefully he gets it. Also, another noteworthy person is Aziz Ansari, who you might know from Scrubs. He was Ed the intern, the lazy intern.
My favorite.
Hysterical, and I think, he's really transitioning now. He's now on the new Amy Poehler show, Parks and Recreation.
Right, which is a spin-off of The Office. Pretty famous people doing that. And he's also all over the viral network, so...
Funny guy, check him
hopefully
out.
he'll keep getting better. Last week we got some viewer feedback. A Serena from McLean, Virginia was wondering, hey, Morning Blend, whatever happened to the University of Illinois situation? Did someone get fired?
We're so glad you asked.
Basically, Niranjan Shah, the Illinois Board of Trustees, Indian American, resigned from his position. He wrote a letter to the governor of Illinois, Pat Quinn, and he said, I know what I did was wrong and I'd like to resign.
Essentially acknowledging that what he did was out of turn, and rightfully so. I'm glad he realized that he acted out of turn, and I hope this is a lesson learned for all.
Well, that's all we have for today. Thank you for watching Morning Blend. Please continue to send your feedback and your comments to darshan@darshantv.com.
Thanks for watching. Have a great weekend.